So I'm gonna let people roll on in. Hey everybody! So I just logged in on the Instagram. Now I'm logging in on the YouTube, and then the last of the places in which to log on will be the actual Facebook. Hey! I see I still have over here an Instagram somebody that's on. So I'm going to let some people kind of come on in. I'm going to move my cameras. And then I'm going to get ready to do, hey, how are you? This is my first person that I've actually been able to see. Hey, Erica. I'm going to explain why you seeing me talking around here. I'm talking to Desiree. I see Erica. Facebook is coming on in. I see everybody coming in on Instagram. And then also, too, I have somebody over here on YouTube Live, which is my very first time doing a YouTube Live. Hey, everybody. I'm going to let you go ahead and keep on rolling on in. As we roll on in, I'm actually doing, hey, honey, look what cup I have. She said, hey, gorgeous. I'm sitting here drinking my coffee and getting ready for an amazing webinar this evening. I cannot wait to deliver to you all some fine information as I let people kind of come on. Hey, Carmen. So Carmen is over here on YouTube. Carmen, if you could please stay on YouTube. I have never done a live on YouTube. So I decided for my very first webinar for me to do a simulcast. So here I'm on Facebook. Here I'm over here on Instagram. Hey, Insta. Hey, I see Elishar. And then I'm looking on over here at YouTube Live. Hey. So I'm letting everybody roll on in. I have enough to be able to go ahead and start. Thank you, Ms. Sakina. So tonight is going to be an amazing seminar / webinar where I wanted to bring to you something that's near and dear to my heart, which is really kind of talking about business. And the topic in which I chose to talk to you in regards to business was entrepreneurship versus being an employee. What is it? I have this conversation so much. If you know me personally, I have this conversation so much, even when we're having a regular conversation, I can barely not have the conversation about business. And in some new things in which I've been able to do within my brand, I felt this is the perfect time to really come on in, answer some questions. So I asked you to bring a pen and a piece of paper to this training. So you can ask some questions, hear some myths, hear some things that you really need to know. So therefore you can make a really good decision, because now being an entrepreneur, wouldn't you agree, is seen and thought of as being sexy. It's like everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to be a boss babe. Everybody wants to go on out and live the life, live the Insta life, live the things that we see online. However, those things behind the scenes, so I'm talking all across. Those things that are behind the scenes is where the true decision is actually really made. And that's where it's at. So to introduce to some and also reintroduce to others, my name is Tracy Madrie. I was even sitting here thinking within my presentation, I was like, what is my title? That's very difficult to say because I'm so many different things, from worked in as being a celebrity stylist, a salon owner, a hair care owner, an extension owner, also to business coaching. And I've also worked in, and I have my own certification program, which is called the Tracy Madrie Certified Program. So in all things, I guess you would call me a multi-entrepreneur. And throughout that time frame, been in the business now been an entrepreneur for 20 years. And there's a lot that came with that. There's a lot that came, a lot. That's what I'll tell you. There's a lot that came with that. And those are the things that I think people who pull me to the side if I have coffee or things of that nature really want to understand. So a little synopsis of my story is I started out, went to school for sales, marketing, and psychology, worked in automotive and also in finance. I did them both. And in doing them, I got a quick taste, maybe because I was raised in a home where I saw an entrepreneur working all the time, from my grandfather, my father, my grandmother owned a daycare. I mean, I got a chance to see what that was like. So even though I went to school, when I went into your traditional trying to work, there were some vast differences in the way that I had been reared, where I was shown at home how to properly organize my time, how to have goals, aspirations, what it was that I was going for, and then see them be in more of a career format. So not just necessarily, you know, I don't know. Even as I'm sitting here right now, I know that played a huge part in what you see today, is because of the visuals in which I was able to have at that time frame that kind of pushed me and propelled me forward. So when I decided to leave corporate America, it really was, and I say this, there's an article on me in Rolling Out magazine where I say, I got real frustrated and I quit and I walked out the door. And then everybody was like, oh my God, hey, that's amazing. You quit your job and you went on. And I also went on to say that was one of the dumbest things I decided to do too. Because in hindsight, I was making such an emotional decision that I really didn't understand what I was walking into. I knew I saw other people that had did it, but I didn't know all of the backstory of what that really was that I was walking into. So that part right there, again, I would advise somebody totally different than walking on in, telling your job, hey, I want to do it all on my own. And I'm about to go on out here and go get it and be boss babe. Because guess what? Boy, did I fall. And I made a comment on my social media that says, like, literally, it wasn't the things in which I did in college that prepared me for being an entrepreneur. It was all of the fouls on my face, because to be a true entrepreneur, to be in that for a long period of time, to still be standing within 20 years, that's a lot of grit that came with that over time. And it's unfortunate that so many people, I was looking at these statistics, 2 years, most people quit their idea, like thinking it's not going to work. It's not going to come to fruition, because being an entrepreneur takes different things. There's sales, there's marketing, there's advertising, there's customer care. There are so many things that are built into that within that first 2 years, when you see all of that, like think about the companies in which a person's working for. It's a whole bunch of a team. So usually you're standalone entrepreneurs doing all of that by themselves. And then within that 2-year period, they're like, wait a minute. When I was working and just getting my check, that was so much easier. That was easier. Now you got me out here losing sleep. I'm up at night. Maybe I must not be doing something correct. And when in all actuality, I learned, Jesus, that's actually a part of the process. Literally, I had just literally stepped into it. That was in the honeymoon phase in that first time frame, where it felt real good. That decision felt real sexy that I had did. However, it was so much more. And then I looked at the statistic that said, usually after 5 years, people have totally just said, that's not for me. I'm going to go walk on over here. I'm going to go I'm going to work for somebody else, or I have to find something else. And usually that's when depression settles. And then further readings showed that really it took for a standalone entrepreneurship to really understand itself, to really be able to sustain itself, and also to be able to keep going, was a decade. Then I asked myself, well, how many people really understood when they decided to do that was the real statistic? Shouldn't be scary, but how many times when we know better, we can do better? So then I started taking a look at, well, why? If you know me, you know I'm a problem solver. Why in the world is that the number? Well, let's talk about it. Because what is the difference between an entrepreneur and an employee? So let's talk about it. An employee is someone who literally trades time for money. So we're going to use, and I used this in a trading earlier today, we're going to use $10 because it's very even. We're going to say $10. So say, for instance, somebody makes $10 an hour and they go to work for 8 hours. Okay. So they go to work for 8 hours. 10 times 8 is 80. So for 8 hours, they're literally knowing at the end of that day, they are making $80. So you eight hours times 10 is $80. So when you go to work every day, it doesn't matter what you do. You know, at the end of the day, you're going to take home $80, right? 80 times 5 is 400. 400 times 4 is 1,600. Okay, so we understand. We can plan around that. That's literally how we're going to do when we're an employee. That Mass CEO has made a determination of what that day should look like, how much sales that we need to do, what everything needs to be in there in order to get the proper output. When they've made that decision, that's what helps them to set up a salary. Because then they understand, okay, I need this person to sit here, make this amount of calls, do this, hit these benchmarks. So therefore, we can get our mass goal. That's what that CEO has done to the employees. And they have put a time frame that's on it. By putting that time frame on it, this is what you're paid. That is usually what the most of us go through in our job and in a job format. In being an employee, that's what you're used to. Now, let me show you and flip to you fairly quickly in being an entrepreneur, how that is so vastly different. As being an entrepreneur, when people usually come from being an employee into an entrepreneur, it is so different. There's no boss that's sitting and saying, okay, this is what we need to do to get here. These are the benchmarks we need to make in order to be able to output income. So in order to be an entrepreneur, you have to flip on the CEO hat. So an entrepreneur works and works and works to get to benchmarks to be able to output their income, which is typically going to be, if done correctly, it's going to be higher than what it would be as an employee. So you see how that's a totally different mind frame. That's not the same thought process. That's not get up in the morning, come and sit at the desk, type, and then in 8 hours, I'm going to kick back a salary because I've worked. In entrepreneurship, it could be sit here, work, type, do work, no output of revenue. That's possible. As a matter of fact, it typically happens. Then the next day comes on around, work. We have 16. Now we got work. Now we got about 32 hours. Now we got work. Now we got over 40 something hours. And then maybe there may be an output. Now remember, you make $400 a week as an employee. Maybe in the very starting beginning phases, it may be 200, which is less than. And a person could then sit back and say, well, wait a minute. I'm outputting all of this time, and this is all I'm getting back. However, in the beginning of any entrepreneurship, that's exactly how it goes. And it usually takes some time. However, when the person flips on the CEO hat in the entrepreneurship, when they flip on that CEO hat and they say, okay, I'm coming into this environment because I need to make 4,000. And in making that 4,000, this is how many hours I'm going to work in that 4,000. This is what it is that I need to do per hour. So every time I work and I output, I have to have this amount of income to be able to sustain myself on my own. Now that takes some time. I'll tell you that. When I first started my first year as an entrepreneur, I didn't get that. I'm about to be out here on my own. Ain't nobody about to tell me what to do. Ain't nobody gonna tell me I cannot go home. I cannot be with my kids. I cannot do what I need to do. Nobody is gonna put me in that position. That's what I was thinking, which is what most people think. I want my time. I want my freedom, right? Being an entrepreneur is not a bad thing. However, I didn't understand it. So I was starting to equate being an entrepreneur as maybe this horrible decision that I had made. Like, I miss my money. I miss my knowing when I got off at this specific time frame. This is what I was supposed to have. However, what I was not prepared for entrepreneurship. I was not in the preparation stages of understanding what it took. So with personal development, with training, with literally sitting down and seeing the areas in which I was not well, really pushing those areas in which I was phenomenal and learning the areas that I needed to get into to be able to fix it, I started to become a better entrepreneur. as becoming a better entrepreneur, this statement that was introduced to me was, know your numbers. Every great entrepreneur needs to understand their numbers. They need to understand their benchmarks. So then I started to go back and think about when I was working in corporate America, when I was doing that job, that's what I was doing. I was hitting benchmarks. As a matter of fact, I was the manager. I was responsible for putting things together in a timely fashion. I was responsible for putting myself together. I was responsible for going out and hitting these things. And therefore, when I did, guess what? At that time, I was looking at, I got income. No, I kept my job. I kept my job. And then when I thought about it, the more that I kept going and I kept doing things, then I was elevated in my job. Flip that back over into entrepreneurship. Goodness gracious, if I want more money, I have to do more. I have to invest more. There's more time that I have to give to get that mass output. And that was probably about the 5-year mark. That was about the 5-year mark of really kind of then being able to see, oh, wow, I can do this, but I have to be just as strategic, just as intentional as I was as an employee for someone else. Remember the mass CEO that was sitting there that was telling me what to do. I had to think like one. I had to organize like one. I had to walk like one. I had to talk like one. I had to get up earlier like one. I had to put myself together like one, not sit around the house and lay in a robe. We do that on our downtime. But if you're trying to be more and output more, I had to change. And that was so pivotal. And as I started to go on in that journey, I learned more. I did more personal development. I did more training. I got more into having teams and then learned, guess what? As being an entrepreneur, let me tell you one of the hardest things that people do. They say, I'm going to do it myself. Oh, Lord. Now, the reason why I say that is because there's only so much a person can do by themselves. It literally is. It's only so much a person can be able to do. And in most corporations, I want you to think about a Target, right? When we think about Target, how could Target run itself? Could you imagine, have you ever been to the store where it's about 20 lanes? It's about 10 lanes in here and it's only 3 people working. That's equivalent to saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to take this and I'm going to do everything by myself, because then literally burnout starts to happen. And that's usually what happens when somebody is an entrepreneur for a long period of time and they have not been able to properly monetize, bring things on in. And in their organizations, they don't have enough help to maximize, to be able to get the maximum ROI, which is your return on your investment of what you've done in that business. So then it becomes another hurdle, another something in front of you. And then business owners have taken a look and said, hey, this is a lot. This is enough. Because remember, I shared with you the statistic that says it usually takes 10. But usually at that 5 to 7 mark is usually when it starts to get really, really difficult, because now there is no team. There's no full team. Every bit of investment in an entrepreneur comes, the entrepreneur takes on the full investment of the brand and the business. And that's a standalone. Takes on full investment, full time of the business. And then it's like, oh gosh, when is this ever going to be okay? And again, this is that personal dialogue from an entrepreneur that maybe these are things you don't hear all the time. What you usually see is the bags, the red bottoms, the whatever, the posts, the nice. That's what it is. So I'm giving you that back end conversation for you to be able to really understand these years, these benchmarks, these things that must occur in order to make this happen. All right. This is that real conversation. How many of y'all who are following me are actually entrepreneurs? If you are, and you're running your own standalone business, type a 1 below for me. Just let me know. If you're running your own business, type a 1 below. I'm my own, and I understand what you're saying. I totally get it. Then as that person starts to move on and they start to develop that team, if that business has not found a way to properly monetize itself, if it has not found a way to properly monetize itself, then it thinks it cannot survive. It cannot survive. So then it starts to roll backwards and say, hey, now I'm back on out and I'm actually an employee again. And being an employee is not a bad thing. Being an employee has a lot of stability that's in it. You know exactly what's going to happen at the end of that week, at the end of that month. You know exactly. So I'm not saying that that's bad. However, if that's one's dream, then that's very disappointing, because now I'm not where I thought I was going to be. So now I'm frustrated. And in being frustrated, that's where you typically start to see. I want you to take a look and look around and see. We have some that are in frustrations, anxiety, depression. We're having conversations about mental health of people that are really in these spaces. So this isn't a negative convo. This is a real convo, right? Could it be changed? Could it be different? Absolutely. So the reason why, if you saw me post on now, I posted the Entrepreneur Institute. Thank you to everybody who has reposted that back. Let me just take this moment. If you have taken the time to post the Entrepreneur Institute, you know, you don't even understand what the heck it is. But you like, somebody said, I inboxed and I said, why did you share that? She said, because everything you touch turns to gold. I said, thank you. You never understand how somebody else views you. You know, I'm a very humble person that works very hard. And sometimes when you're working really, really hard, you're down in the shundo and you're just out here and you got your head down and you grind and you're doing what you got to do. I don't know why. I've been with my husband for 22 years. I have 3 teenagers. I have an 18-year-old, 15-year-old on Sunday, and a 13-year-old. So in those spaces, my head has been down and it has been working and it has been blazing. And so to look back up, see some things in which I see, especially how things have changed so dramatically. And I have so much to give in the industry. To see that, to hear that, to read that, thank you. I need you to understand, I don't take any of that for granted, because no one gets to a place without someone. And that's the biggest fallacy, is that I do know myself. No, I would not be here 20 years later if customers did not love me, if business people did not work with me, if those did not partner with me, if people did not trust me with their careers. I wouldn't be here. So I do not take that for granted. But I put together the Entrepreneur Institute because I had made some transitions in my own career. So I made some transitions in my own career, because for 20 years, guess what? Remember I talked about those hours in which we work? You're talking to a woman that has worked 80 to 100 hours a week. And I'm not going to say it like, oh, and nothing, has done that, has done a phenomenal 5 and 6 figure per month, and been able to travel and live very well, and been working with celebrities. I've worked on TV, CBS, ABC, BET, movie. Like, I have done a lot in my career, and I'm very, very grateful to that. But there come seasons. We always say, like, in entrepreneurs, we have these certain words that we say, and I swear there comes a certain season where I am just now turning 40, of where it was a new chapter to turn. And in turning that new chapter, I knew of 3 different ways in which to do what it is that I did. And in those 3 different ways, I know there was to be my regular employee, and not her. There was to go into MLM, which we'll talk about in a second, which was like, I don't know. I'm looking at some things. I've done some things before. I'm not sure. And then there was to build stronger in my standalone entrepreneurship. So we've already talked about what it is to be standalone. We've already talked about what it is to be entrepreneur. And now I'll say it turned into, now let's take a look at this. So me making my turn, if you've been following me now, you see now I'm in an amazing business that is like literally changed the trajectory of where my life is headed. And I'll explain what that means, because I've always been I've been for a very long time, a successful entrepreneur. However, in entrepreneurship, when you hear these hours, my freedom was never really there. So yes, I was making this, but I had to output. Remember I said, as an entrepreneur, as a CEO brain, you have to think about what you're making per hour. So I got to the place where I had 3 and 4 assistants to work for me. I was there from 8 in the morning, sometimes to 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And no longer did that be of desire to me. And so where health is your wealth, let me tell y'all this, because if you watch me, I was on season 15's into The Biggest Loser, where I had lost just as much weight as that cast. I was on Windy City Live, and they had brought me on in just to tell the story. Like, how did you do that? How did you lose 130 pounds on your own? And you know what my favorite saying was to any producer that asked me? 1 pound at a time. Because I tell you, have you ever heard the saying, how was the best way to eat an elephant? The best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Like literally, I had to do it that way. And the way that I knew to do it that way was really through the discipline in which I had in being an entrepreneur. Like literally the way that I would get up in the morning, plan my items, make sure I had things together for my staff, make sure that I was doing things. Like literally the same principles that I had there were the exact same principles that helped me to take stuff off of myself and care for myself. So when that happened and I started to roll back and feel a different way within my entrepreneurship, I wanted to fix myself. Now, guess what? Where God had saw it, by me fixing myself, it gave me a new career. It pushed me into a different area. So when I talk about that MLM, that's what I'm going to talk to you about now. Then as I realized most people were stressed, they needed to take care of themselves. They needed to be well. Like, I was like, okay, I wash my face in the morning. Okay, I could do this. Okay, so there's face wash. I wash my face. Okay, I need to grow my hair and make sure it's healthy. That's there. Okay, I take vitamins. That's there. Okay, I need nutrients. That's there. I need collagen. I'm getting older. That's there. So I'm a smart person, very smart. I was like, okay, so literally where we are in 2018 is lifestyle. These are the things in which I do. These are the things in which how I'm changing myself. And I can actually make the shift, the transition, the change done. Like done, have not looked back, have been able to move forward and go forward. Now, I'll tell you my hesitation, which is what most people ask me. I ain't got time for, ain't nobody, I don't want to hear that. You even mentioned a little bit in the name. They don't want to hear that. Why? What is your fear? What is your fear? Because literally your answer to everything, and I kid you not, your answer to everything is on the other side of your fear. If you walk up to a fence, say for instance, you're about to jump, say for instance, you need to get over a fence, right? And you walk up to the fence and every bit of everything you need is on the other side. But when you get to the fence, you walk to the fence, you turn around, you walk away. That doesn't change that what you needed was on the other side. The fence is still there, okay? But you want to know what happened? When you turned back and you walked away and you went in the other direction, nothing occurred. No answers were occurred. Nothing can happen. All the answers are over there. And what happens? You stay exactly the same. So what I say to people when they ask those questions about, what made you jump? What made you do the switch? Because that's a middle. What made you do that? You want to know what made me do it? I learned through the time frames of the way a person can make a decision is through education. Listen. The way any decision is made is through education. I'm going to share with you some free education as a celebrity stylist. Free education. Free education is my hair isn't doing well, right? My hair is breaking. It's horrible. You know what? I'm just going to cut it off and start all over. Who the heck told women that? Education. Who told a woman cut her hair off to fix it? No, ma'am. Literally, the way in which the hair grows is through the follicle. It's through the skin. If the skin is healthy, the hair can come through. So usually when a woman has hair breaking, as a non-surgical hair replacement specialist, I would go in and assess her skin. See what her skin is doing. Make recommendations for maybe what she's ingesting, what she's drinking. Not Jamaican castor oil. I don't know who started that. However, what has happened is we are going so loud about information. We're not getting every education. And the person that's talking the loudest in the room is the person we think is telling the truth. Literally just because they're loud. However, the true education says fix the skin, make her drink water, condition her hair, trim her ends, give her scalp massage, help her catagen, her anagen, and her telogen phase. Because those are the three phases in which hair has to go through to grow. And then her hair will grow. However, that's not being shouted loudly. It's not at the top. It's not what's happening. So guess what? We have a misnomer. We have information that is not correct. We have a whole bunch of people out here shaving their heads, thinking that's going to happen, and they're just bald. They just don't have hair. That's not the truth. So when I come back on over and I start talking about an MLM, I say, well, why Would a person not want to do that? You want to know why? Because somebody said it was a scam. Nobody researched it. Nobody decided, is that potentially an option for them? And so what do? They back up like that fence, move back, and then do not make an educated decision. Literally making one off fear, which, remember, we talked about what fear does. Fear takes everything off the table. Nothing can occur in fear. Nothing can happen there, because literally every time you walk on up to the wall, you hit it and then you walk backwards. So I said, let me just research it. What is it? MLM is multi-level marketing. So let's talk about that traditional job. Okay, let's break it on down for you. That traditional job makes you come into work. Mass person has the idea. Okay, every person below the mass person with the idea does the work, takes a stipend. And please believe it's a smaller stipend. They take a smaller stipend of that information, of that, just for comfort to take money. In an MLM, it breaks open. It breaks open that structure. So therefore, there is a percentage. There is a mass person that's at the top. However, in those areas, we're taking higher, because guess how? Anybody ever trained their replacement in a job? You ever trained your replacement? Press 2. Give me 2 if you ever trained your replacement. Have you ever seen somebody train their replacement? See, in these type of structures, you're paid on your training. You're paid to help someone. So literally, if you have the spirit of helps, that type of structure could actually be absolutely amazing if understood, if educated, if asked questions. Now, just like any other company in which a person goes to, you want to do your research. You want to make sure when you do something, there is proper education with it. There's proper lifestyle too as well. Can I do this? To give you an example, are you ready for this? If you don't travel and you don't like to travel and you can't afford when you go travel to live after the travel, you can't be in a travel business. Can't do it. Because guess what? It doesn't make sense for your lifestyle. You want to make sure when you're choosing anything, say for instance, you choose a regular job that is 3 hours away. Who wants to 3-hour travel? Does that make sense? No. So what you want to do, education is key. Education is key. Education is key. If you're just tuning on in, I'm everywhere. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook, and I'm educating tonight that education is key. Now, once education becomes key and you find something in this area, because again, this is a choice. This isn't for everybody either. There's 3 different ways to do this, and this isn't for everybody. But without the proper education, you'll have no idea what's working, because literally that fear is in front of, and it's like, oh, okay, I was told I was supposed to be over here and just get my job and work for somebody. But I want to be on over here and I want to do the regular standard entrepreneurship, but I don't really 100% know how to structure that yet. Like, I work for a company, but I haven't done sales, marketing, advertising. I haven't done all those things. So I'm really not sure, but I'm going to jump and be a standalone. No, there is an option that's right in the middle, but most people miss it. If you look at your billionaires, and I said billionaires, and they all tell you, if they had an opportunity to do it all over again, they would have taken that middle step, which was an MLM. They would have walked into there, got that money, and used it as a springboard to spring on off into your standalone. Now, I struggled with what I'm about to say right now, because I jumped. And keep in mind, I told you it was the dumbest thing I ever did, was jumping without a parachute and not understanding everything and then falling on my face. What I came out of that was I got a whole bunch of grit. Amazing. However, if I could go back and redo that bad boy again, I would have went right in the middle. But you want to know what? Because I had no understanding, no education, nobody showed me. I didn't know to do that. I didn't understand that, you know what, literally, I could have freedom of time. I could, in that environment, help someone else, in return helping myself, in return building a residual, which I'm going to properly explain residual. And building residual, get that, then springboard off into the standalone operation because I had so much money that was supporting and backing me instead of asking somebody how to get along with no credit. Because I laugh at those things because people make you think that that is absolutely true and they're literally just playing because it's absolutely not true. So I would have definitely used that as that springboard in that middle. Okay, this is what I'm going to do to be able to get there. Now that I understand it, I'm able to teach it. So Entrepreneur Institute came about because it wanted to be education. It literally wanted to help a person in this middle ground, because I've taught business to numerous, and I love all of my students, and which I've had that always be like, oh my God, let me tell you what I'm doing right now. Because of you, I've done this. Because of you, I've done that, which I do not take for granted. And I appreciate that. So I was like, I've created education systems for extensions. I've created them in business development. And I was like, wow, where we are in 2018 is a place where this is safe. This is where things are going. And there's no real education. There's no real how to, and I've come in a company and moved 6 promotions within 5.5 months, and I'm being asked how. And I'm going, well, let me tell you, because in my mind, keep in mind, I've been doing this for 20 years. So in my mind, it's because of my personal development. It's because of my strategic brain. It's because of being organized. It's because of understanding customer care and taking care of people, and understand when you take care of people, then in return, you will be taken care of. Those are the things in which are here that are allowing me to still be here. So I said, okay, so that's what's missing. That key piece, that personal development, that coaching, that understanding that this is the season that we're in, and this is the development of where we need to go. That's what's missing. So for me, that's where Entrepreneur Institute is now born. And it's now born because it puts education pre-entrepreneurial decisions that we must and need to make. So that's where it's come from. Now, I have put on now, anybody want information, fill out that information. I will get back to you. So if you have filled out that information, I then put you here. So you got a chance to hear from me. I want you to know what it's like. I want you to know what it is. I do trainings in the morning. I don't personally handhold because I don't believe that grown people learn the best that way. I believe that they learn through constant direction and guidance. And that's what I give on my teams. Anyone who's on my team is then trained to do that for their team too as well. So we do meetings, we do education, we do sales training. We really properly help you to understand what this is. Properly to help you understand what it is to have promotions, what it is to have a proper springboard. A lot of the people that are in these type of businesses typically are not full-time. They're typically part-time. There's someone who's making the transition. I am working here as an employee, and I desire to do this for. Everyone's why is different. I'm doing this for my retirement. I'm doing this for an additional stream to be able to leave my first stream, which then is going to catapult me off into my mass dream, my mass goal. So everybody has those. And coming into the Entrepreneur Institute, I would want to know what that is. Why are you here? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? What are you looking to do? So therefore, we can see if it's realistic. I have people that sometimes say, okay, how much do you want to make? I want to make $20,000 a month. Can that happen? Absolutely, that can happen. Okay, so I want to make $20,000 a month. Okay, great. What is your investment that you want to do with that? Well, I'm willing to invest 50. Red flag. There's money that's required to get it, just so you know, in any situation. So if that's what's had, and it doesn't mean that it could be a couple thousand or whatever in these environments. However, in standalones, all the time, this has cost me $100,000 to build my salon. That's just one of the investments in which I had. Forget my product line, my hairline, my tags, my advertising, my market. That standalone takes some money. Forget grit. It takes money. However, in the middle, there is an investment, but you got to make sure that that's correct. You have to make sure that that amount is correct to get what you're trying to output. Then the next question I usually ask is always, how many hours are you willing to devote to your own goal? See, as an entrepreneur, it is very imperative to be able to answer these questions for yourself. Because remember, there's no big boss anymore. So in order to have no big boss, you have to big boss yourself. You have to know your benchmarks. You have to understand what it is that you're trying to chase. No one can hit a target they didn't know was there. So therefore, could you imagine somebody out on a gun range, that big circle that's out there in the middle, and there's no hole in the middle, and now somebody just out here busting? Could you imagine that? Somebody out here with nothing that they targeting. What are they going to do? They're going to aim. They're going to hit something wrong. They may hit the arm area. They may hit the top of the head, the middle of the hair, because there is no benchmark. So as an entrepreneur, benchmarks are important to call with realisms. So when you say, hey, $20,000 a month, I want to do 20. How many hours are you willing to invest with that? Well, I got about 3 hours. Okay, so what I want you to do, I need you to go to the gas station and go ahead and go get your scratch off, because you ain't trying to do this now. Like, now we tripping. So it don't matter what we say. We got to make sure it matches. 2 to 3 hours intentionally done. Maybe 3 to 5. Maybe 3 to 5 in the right MLM. Maybe 3 to 5. Maybe about 3 to 500. So when I hear those things in the Entrepreneur Institute, I'm trying to match all realisms. That's my job. That's what I'm doing in that assessment. I'm trying to make sure that where it is that you're going matches. And then are we outputting? Are we doing that correctly? If so, then we have a plan of action. I always say, I don't like to do business plans, because business plans can get you in trouble. Because guess what? As an entrepreneur, think about a maze. You're going to go through some holes. You're going to come out. You're going to kick it back around. Have to go to the side. Move on around. Do this. Come on back. So I love to say it's a business map. It's literally like, okay, here are the things in which I'm going to do, but I need to be able to have the flexibility to change and get myself on track where I need to go. Those things are really important. As an entrepreneur for myself, one thing that I pat myself back on the back with is, what are some of the skill sets in Tracy in which you need to have? You want to know some of the skill sets I say? And I'll say the number one. I'll just even stay with one, because there's other things in which you need to have. I'll say the ability to solve problems. The ability to solve problems, the ability to stay in a space where things are not going maybe the way that you want to, but you're able to sit back, look at them and say, hey, here's the issue. Here's what's going on. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to fix it. This is what I'm going to do. That is a skill set that must be developed by an entrepreneur. That takes time. It takes time. And it's okay. I posted on my wall this butterfly that was sitting, and it's like it's moving, and it's going on up, and then it's flapping, and then it's going on away, and then it's like where it wants to be. But that middle ground, that's that point right there where you got to be able to solve them problems. You got to be able to sit there and work it on through. In Entrepreneur Institute, that's what we do. So when we bring you on here, we do your proper assessment. After we do your assessment, we actually put you in our new academy where we teach you how it is to be successful in this. That is something that is very synonymous with us and our team, is that I was like, we need support. Remember I said about working and doing stuff by yourself? Who got time for that? Who got time? Why? Just to tell somebody you did it by yourself? I say always, one of the things I tell people is forget counting likes, count invoices. Forget being out here in somebody's face, being extra loud, having nothing to say, not doing it correctly, not being duplicatable. Everything you say cannot be redone. Those are the things you want to be able to do. And those are the things that Entrepreneur Institute is going to be able to do. Teamwork, team. I'm so team. I was a cheerleader. Can't you tell? I was a cheerleader. I'm so team. So team. I'm looking on over here, and I got so many comments that are coming over. This is kind of cool. I feel like I need that whole screen to cross on over here and be like, everybody, this is who I'm talking to. This is the start of something big for me because I really am about to launch my own education. I really want to make sure I am a hub for entrepreneurial support because I know what it's like firsthand. I know what it's like to not have. I know what it's like to have. I know what it's like to need. I know what it's like to rely on a team. I know what it is like to rely on a team that doesn't do what it says it wants to do. Oh, we've been there. How many of you all have had a team that did not come through and do what it needed to do? So I know the importances of all of these things in which I'm saying, and very passionate about making sure someone else has that level of support. So the next question in which I had is, how much is it? I will say, what? To join the team? Okay, let me give you two different ways. I myself, for years, have had an academy where outside people would be able to come to me, and I would be able to help them to develop and do their brand. However, my passion right now isn't that. My passion is bringing someone into this environment with me. And literally, are you ready for this? Remember, I said it cost me $100,000. Lord, give it back. Give it back to develop my salon. And in this business, I walked into this business and I spent $99. But I did. I spent $100. And I'm telling you, coming into this business with me at $100, literally, that's it. I literally want to help you get to the next level. Where are you going to find this at? Where do you find this? Where somebody literally says, hey, I'm putting together the education. I'm putting together the training. I'm putting together everything in which you need. I'm not charging you. Guess what? That $99 don't even come to me. It doesn't. It is not my fee. That is the company's fee to come into the fee, to come into the company. My fee is this. I don't have a fee. You want to know what I want? I want duplicatable success. I want to show men and women how to properly be entrepreneurs, how to chart their success, how to be able to look at their numbers properly, how to understand benchmarks, how to get to the next level, how to work in a team, how to properly assess how many hours it takes to do things and actually get them done. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for men and women that are tired. Now, listen, this sounds like a commercial, but I'm telling you what I want. I want a man or a woman who's tired of where they are and literally want to come in working day one. That's a prerequisite for me. You know, I was teaching this morning in my training of what it was, the things in which that you needed. I'm trying to think about what that was this morning. But I remember saying that you have to be able to put your things on the table. Like, these are the things you will do. These are the things that you won't. You have to set your terms. There you go. You have to set your terms in business. What are your terms? Guess what my terms are? You got to be able to match me. You have to be able to work with me. I don't chase people. I'm telling you that I don't. This is not I'm about to put you on here. You're going to tell me you're interested, and I'm going to chase you for 2 hours. I am not doing it. No. I respect myself. I respect my brand. I know what it is that I bring to the table. I'm looking for somebody that when I talk to them, they're like, you know what? I at least need to hear this as an opportunity. I at least need to be able to take a decision for myself and figure out if this is for me. You know, I see you on over here and you're making money and you're doing this and you're with your family. And that's what I want. And in wanting that, I want to do that with you. I want you to train me. I want you to personally help develop. I was able to identify that in being an entrepreneur, what is missing the most is personal development. The most. It's not understanding the P&L, the return of the ROI. No, ma'am. It's not. It's literally that grit and grat that you have to be able to have to do this. That thing that says in the morning time, like, remember, there is no CEO, there is no boss. So that thing that goes off in the head that says, you know what? I'm about to get up, tie this hair back, sit down, be on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and I'm about to make it happen, Captain. That's who I'm looking for. I'm looking for that. Is that you? I'll ask you that. Is that you? Is that you? Do you want to make this investment? in us. You understand? In us. Tracy training, Tracy developing, me working, me changing situation, me adding to myself. Do I want to be intentional with that? That's what I'm looking for. Because guess what? Guess who's going to show up with you every day? Who's going to sit here with her coffee? Y'all, I'm drinking keto. Anybody who knows about keto coffee, and I'm drinking it at night, I almost feel like doing a power hour after here with the team, literally just to go shake it all down. Last night we were up to midnight and we were working. Like literally just making in preparation. Tomorrow morning, I get on a plane. I go to Colorado with amazing women that are on this team, and we are going on a retreat. And we are going, if you're diamond and above, you're on a retreat tomorrow in a mansion. And we literally are there to work as a team. Like that right there, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. So people ask me, what am I looking for all the time? That's what I'm looking for. If that's you, we need to have a conversation. I've gotten a lot of forms. And again, thank you so much. I will be contacting you shortly. I've been moving some stuff. I got a lot of forms of people who are like, Tracy, you're doing this. I want to do it. And can I tell y'all something? All the forms, this is the type of person I am. Every form that has come through, I have read what you have said to me. Even got misty-eyed on a few. You never know who's watching you. And so some of them are just ready to make that jump, ready to come on in. In my other businesses, I wasn't able to do something like this. If you wanted to work with me before, some people would tell me, I wish I could do hair so I could work with you. I wish I could do that so I could work with you. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I wish you could too. And now I have that opportunity where literally it doesn't matter who you are, as long as you're willing to work. We could be on a team together and we literally could go. So if you are interested, let me tell you this, because there are multiple mediums. There are multiple mediums that are on out here, and I will be responding in all formats. So let's take a look on it here. If you're interested, you can inbox me on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram, you DM me. Facebook, you inbox me. I'm saying that because I remember one time I said DM me on Facebook, and my son and daughter had a fit. Ha 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 ha. Thank you. I see team members are down here telling you what it is to be on the team. You are more than welcome to post down and below that you want the form. I see Lydia right now wants the form. Lydia, I will email you the form. If you could type down, I need a form. If you're on Instagram, this is my first time being in that live setting like this. So if you DM me that you want the form, I'll get you the form. If you're here on YouTube, this is my first YouTube live. I got to read some of this stuff down here because this is a new format for me. Nikki needs the form. Perfect. Nikki, you will be getting the form. I'm going to read down some of these. Sherry, you need the form. I'm going to make sure that you all get these. So therefore, I can get back to you. Once you get your form, once you finish out your form, so we can talk about this process. Once you finish your form, you are going to get access to my appointment book because we're going to schedule our one-on-one time to have our conversation about what it is, what your goals are. Did you notice I did not say go take your money? Because that's not what I'm interested in. I need to understand your goals. When I understand your goals, I can figure out where Michelle, you will definitely get the form, where we are together, and then where I can place you within the organization and how we going to make this run. Because I'm doing some amazing things with people on the team, and the shift and the change in which we're going is amazing. And I cannot wait to welcome more people on. I love you too, Erica. Love you too. Hey, Arisa. Yes, we'll definitely help you in which to build. Thank you for that. I appreciate you for that. I really do. If you're on Instagram, please DM me for a form. You're going to get it. Okay, so let's figure out how we're going to do this YouTube. And then I'm going to read some of the questions and stuff that I'm seeing over here on YouTube because I've been reading a lot. In the event that you're on YouTube, if you can post your email, that's the best way. In this chat, I will send you. And then also, too, I'm going to tell you my email is TRAYCE@TRAYCEMAD re.com. That's Tracy, hey boo, at tracymadrid.com. You post your email. I will make sure that I send the form on out to you. Myself or my assistant will definitely send that on out. So I've appreciated all of this. I'm not gone. I'm going to read some things. I have somebody that's on here that works 3 companies, and I'm telling you, the juggle be real. The juggle. Hey, Melissa. You may. Somebody said it makes them want to join all over again. I'm looking and trying to read. I'm looking and I'm trying to read over here in YouTube. It's a little difficult. First time doing it, but I will be doing more YouTube lives. Love my team. Love you too, Erica. I see you. I see you too, Miss Millennial Mom. I see you too. Had a great time. Let me say this. I'm going to stay here for a few. Everybody who said they needed a form, please understand that you're going to get one. In the event that you inbox me and you want to have a personal conversation, you're more than welcome to do that too as well. I hope you really enjoyed this training tonight, this overview from a very decorated entrepreneur who's done a lot. And hopefully I've given you that back end combo that maybe you wanted to ask, weren't able to ask. If you have a question, Shay Class would like, hey, babe, for sure. On Instagram, if you could please DM me so I can send it to you directly. So therefore we can set up this appointment. I would love to be able to do that. And then email over here. Somebody said they make them want to unplug and join again. Oh, I love that. Who is that? I don't know who that is. I don't know. It's so funny when we got these names that are on over here. If you have a question, post that down below. If you have a question of me that you're like, I don't think you covered this, I really like to make sure. Oh, hey, Carm. If you have a question and you're like, I'm not really sure of something in which I've covered, I'll give a few minutes to be able to see them. There's always this little bit of a delay. So I don't see any that are coming through. Trying to wait for a moment before I get on now. Thank you. Fire signs on our team mean that was awesome. So anytime I see a fire sign from a team member, that's our internal. It's awesome. Tomorrow, I'm going to miss y'all. I gave them a 2-hour training today, literally because I knew I wasn't going to be here. Tracy's about, thank you. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you for that. So I don't see any questions. I always like to leave that on open. I never like to leave a room if somebody had something that they needed and I did not give it. This is what it's like to actually be on the team. So I truly appreciate you all. Again, drop your info. Will you inbox or email? If you are asking me to send you something, Lydia, I will inbox you on the social media platform in which you respond to me on. So if you respond to me on that platform, I will, for the rest of the evening, be responding back to people on that platform. I know she said she won't sleep for a minute. So I've appreciated this. Like, again, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I did in delivering. Hopefully I've answered a lot of questions. Hopefully I have put you in a space of thought, of education. Faye, you are getting your form. Hopefully I'll put you in that thought. Do not make a decision without being educated first. I don't care what you do. If you choose not to be a part of the Entrepreneur Institute and you are doing something else, I want you to understand, get your education. Ask questions. Don't be scared. Don't just throw things down because you're not for sure. Get what you came from. Favorite thing I love to tell my team, because I see some of them over here, is always set your outcome. Never change your outcome. Always change the activity to make sure that you get your goal. So I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Can't wait to be responding to everybody and sending out more forms. Talk to you later.